Precious Treasury of the Way of Abiding by Longchenpa, famous 14th century master. So again, this is dealing with the four samayas, and we're on the topic of openness. So since there is total purity, free of any framework of existence or non-existence, the nature of phenomenon is expansive openness, great perfection. In awareness, the ultimate heart essence of enlightenment, there is no holding to extreme views, but rather freedom from bias based on characteristics. There is no conclusion to be reached through theories of language or knowledge. So like I said last time, and this was worth repeating, Dzogchen is not something you reach conceptually, like, oh, I have it figured out now. No. You see the awareness that's here right now, you familiarize with it, and you familiarize with enlightenment, great perfection that's here right now, right? Awareness here in that very line, it says, in awareness, the ultimate heart essence of enlightenment. That means this awareness right in front of you. No need to make it. You don't try to be aware. It's already here. This is the heart essence of enlightenment. It's not until our thinking co-opts that, or brings up the past, or brings in the future, or comes up with some reason why it's not perfect right now. So there is no conclusion to be reached through theories of language or knowledge. It is beyond characterization, can be neither affirmed nor denied, neither increases nor decreases, and neither comes nor goes. Given total purity and the supreme spaciousness of spontaneous evenness, there is uninterrupted openness, free of all extremes or bias. See why they compare it to space so often? It says it doesn't increase or decrease, it doesn't come or go. Space is just like that. You can have an earthquake, you can have a forest fire, space doesn't change. Just like that, you can have a rage fit, you can have a desirous night filled with shame and regret. Whatever it may be, awareness doesn't change. And the more you start to let be, relax into awareness, the more your conditioned fires are exhausting themselves, your programming, your cycles, negative internal dialogue, internal narrations are calming down so that the subtle intuitive mind can be more apparent. Right? So, given total purity and the supreme spaciousness of spontaneous evenness, there is uninterrupted openness free of all extremes or bias. In enlightened being, there is no occurrence of or involvement with hope and fear, and so there is uninterrupted openness regardless of what arises. In this naturally arising, unbiased, and unrestricted state, what simply is, there is never a chance of being caught within a cage of reification. Since all things come back to openness, their nature is beyond the extreme of denial or affirmation. Just as the universe will disappear within the realm of space, denial and affirmation, attachment and aversion, vanish in original basic space. So original basic space is the basic space of your mind. When you go to sleep at night, you really believe that you're that character having this whole experience. You really believe that you're driving a car in that dream or walking on that ground and talking to that person. Isn't it amazing how convincing our mind can be? That although you're dreaming, you really think you're there. My dogs, they shake their legs and they bark and everything. They really think they're there. But meanwhile, while you think you're this dream character or dream dog that's chasing the dream bony, well, the whole time there's this cognizance there. The cognizance is the same from that dream to the next dream. One day you're dreaming of a dance party. It's fun. It's exciting. Next day you're dreaming of war and death and destruction. But the cognizance itself doesn't change. Just like that, our cognizance here now, unchanging. Just like you can make anything out of clay, but it's still going to be clay. So in a dream, you can make anything, but it's still going to be cognizance. And where is that dream taking place? In the basic space of your mind. Your mind creates a kind of atmosphere, right? It holds the whole dream, and you can't really find the borders of that space. Well, that's what here they're calling basic space, the basic space of your mind. All four foundations of mindfulness are in that basic space: the environment, the body, the emotions, and the thoughts. And this cognizance is, you can compare it to a volume. It's non-referential, it's non-localized. Okay? So whether you're brain-centric or like the Tibetans in some traditions are heart-centric, either way, that reference point is softening up into non-dual openness. Okay? So I'm just going to continue a little bit here. Since they do not go anywhere, thought patterns leave no trace. Given expansive openness within the scope of uninterrupted awareness, the limitations of holding to hope and fear are transcended. The tethering stake of dualistic mind is pulled free. Listen to that. The tethering stake of dualistic mind is pulled free. That's it right there. The more we label and give meaning and assign all this value to this experience, the more we're kind of driving a stake in and saying, this is me and this is the world. Bam, you have this dichotomy that's just reified there. And it's very subtle. But as you begin to release that, pull that stake up by looking back at the one who's thinking, by looking back at the doer. Who is the one sitting here? By becoming aware of awareness. All these little tricks that we have. Yeah? So I like that. It's a good line there. The tethering stake is pulled free. The city of the confusing perceptions of samsara is emptied. Therefore, the dynamic energy of display is external, phenomenon that manifest as objects, and internal, the manner in which one's mind arises. So I think it's saying here that external and internal kind of begin to mingle. Okay? For those who understand everything to be timelessly empty and open, all phenomenon are revealed within the key point of openness. Concerning the facets of the nature of phenomenon, one implication that can be discerned is that they constitute self-knowing, timeless awareness as openness, empty yet lucid. Wow, that line right there is packed. It says one implication that can be discerned is that phenomenon constitutes self-knowing awareness. So it says self-knowing timeless awareness. So we're dealing with the fourth time beyond past, present, and future. That right there, Longchenpa is telling you, your awareness, your mind is beyond time. And of course, in Madhyamaka uh, reductio ad absurdum, we reduce time to absurdity. And that happens in Mahayana and Nyamaka. So it should be no problem for you to embrace that in your realization. So it also says awareness is open, empty. You can't find the location of awareness, but it's present. Just like space, you can't find any specific location of space. So it's empty of any substantial reference point. So it says empty yet lucid. Anybody know what that means, lucid? That means when the Buddha's, uh, yeah, well, when the Buddha's just sitting there, like about to give a talk or something, it's not that he's a zombie, or like some folks think that there's no more consciousness, there's no more life there. No, he's resting in lucidity, just like when you do lucid dreaming. Yeah, there's a cognizance there. It's a subtle cognizance. That's what lucidity is. And this is the real player. Your thoughts are just kind of a spark of that. Yeah, this intuitive, psychic, very powerful mind. I'll say it. I'll say it. It's beyond time. They're ranging from psychic features to all kinds of stuff. Okay, you'll be able to see your past. You'll be able to see the future, and maybe a little chunks at a time. You'll have little insight into the future, and then it really happens. Or you knew what somebody was going to say. Little things like that. They're indicators of the oneness of our minds on a subtle nexus. Okay? So, very powerful line there. It says, self knowing awareness is timeless, it's open, it's empty, and it's lucid. Really giving us a lot there about your own awareness, which is this simple little thing. But until you familiarize with it, you don't know that, no, you've just realized your Buddha mind. You've realized a dimension of your mind that's way beyond this world. Okay? So Sean's saying empty yet lucid can also describe phenomenon because of the duality, I think. Yeah, sure. I mean, this is essentially saying that there's a correlation because it says all phenomenon are revealed to be that openness, to be a co-emergent response of your cognition. But it's a subtle co-emergent response, you see? So that's why and we don't want it to be at first we don't want it to be very gross and coarse because if you could manipulate your reality you wouldn't be able to walk to the store, if you were able to change this reality. So that's why stability practices using mantra, breath meditation, whatever, are so important because you need to stabilize as this world begins to reveal itself to be something way beyond your little cartoon. The cartoon's necessary. We grow up in the cartoon. We get our wisdom, our maturity, our strength in the cartoon. It's fine. I don't have any quarrels with samsara, okay? And I don't have any quarrels with my desire, with my anger, with my agitation, my frustration, my boredom. I don't have any quarrels with that stuff. And I suggest you all release your internal struggles, okay? Uh, Citing modern mental health experts, we've seen that 90% of our thoughts that we have every day are repetitive, 70% of them are negative, and the negative bias. So please start to just see your thoughts throughout the day. Seeing is enough. You'll start to sort them out naturally. Very important because as you change the thoughts, your entire reality will change. And as thoughts calm down, you'll start to access a more subtle part of the mind. Okay? So, I really like that line. That's great. Okay. So, not constrained by being perceived as a subject, beyond being perceived as an object, and without any point of reference. Wide open clarity is unrestricted. See how that line earlier got translated a little bit funky because it was talking about internal and external. Right here, it's completely clear. It's not subject, not object. Okay? And without any point of reference. Enlightened being, undistracted, for all recollection has been exhausted, is expansive openness like space, neither meditation nor non meditation. Again, comparing to space. But here, all recollection has been exhausted. If you study modern psychology, you understand that most of our day, whether it's good or bad, is created from repetitive thoughts. Like I just said, 70%, 90% are repetitive out of 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day, using that Fred Luskin Stanford statistic. So if you have roughly 60,000 thoughts per day, 90% of them are repetitive, and you start resting in awareness, well, your repetitive programming is going to exhaust itself. It's going to go out because you're no longer a participant. You're no longer in there feeding fuel, novelty. You're not you're not in the ring of your internal struggle anymore, in this boxing ring of your internal struggle. Now it's okay. Be okay with your frustration. Yeah, some Rinpoches have said it before. Yeah, you're a crappy person. Okay. And and what? Yeah, you made some mistakes. Start fresh today. Hit the refresh button. Forgive everybody, forgive yourself, wish them liberation, and start fresh. If you notice that negative repetitive programming, just noticing is enough. You don't have to try to employ some kind of remedy. All right. I know that's tricky. That's why we come here. We hang out in the Dzogchen group to continue to reinforce this completely different approach where instead of adding more fists to our situation where we're trying, now we're stopping the doing. We're releasing because all of us have a lot of doing going on. Okay? Clenches our nervous system, affects our circulatory system, our intestines, everything. Okay? So I just want to read a few more lines because I really like this part. This is the vast expanse of enlightened being, wholly positive in this spacious and vast expanse of awareness, empty yet lucid. Although an unceasing variety of characteristics arise, the sense faculties perceive this in all its freshness. Awareness is clearly evident as the nature of phenomenon. Things appear freely. Consciousness is blissful, however it arises, and the six modes of consciousness are relaxed. This is the naturally arising expanse of timeless awareness. So the six modes of consciousness, there's referring to your five, that seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and feeling, but also your thinking mind and your thinking emotional mind. So thinking at the course level is more constructed thoughts, emotions are more unconstructed thoughts. But that's all six consciousnesses, and then the ego grabs those. The ego is the seventh consciousness, awareness is the eighth. Okay? hmm Since this is utterly lucid, unobstructed, without division into outer or inner, it is spontaneously present within the supreme, uncontrived state of resting and genuine being. Right. So many of you know, even according to modern mental health, a lot of us are running around like we're being chased by a tiger. That's how high our stress levels can be. And we proceed all day like that. You can feel it in your shoulders, you can feel it in your chest, your stomach. A lot of times our thighs will get tight. The nervous system is a great indicator of that tension in the lips. If you're thinking a lot, you feel the electricity in your brain. Your brain is very tender and soft, delicate. So when you're thinking a lot, you can feel it. It's actually much more obvious to me than when you relax, for example, your shoulders or relaxing your brain can be quite nice. And so when a lot of that tension starts to release, like when we do our sits at the beginning, you start to relax into an equilibrium and you'll have your natural kind of friendliness, your natural uncontrived uh, relaxation and friendliness. Yeah. And intelligence and everything. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for hanging out with me through that and through the Dharma talks. I love that. I love being here with you. Any final thoughts or questions, comments, sharing before we go today? You guys are deep diving. I'm continuously amazed. Okay, I just can't believe it. How many of you have these authentic connections and are deep diving into this? Good for you. And thank you for joining me on the front lines of true psychology, true meditation.